Hello and welcome to the Wild I See Soccer podcast. My name is Jason Kmet and my co-host is Scott Strasser. Hi, Scott.
Hi, Jason.
So we got a little bit of a change to the usual routine around here for this episode, eh, Scott?
Yeah, it's Sunday night as we record this. We didn't record an episode on Thursday night as we usually do. That was my fault. I had some personal stuff going on that night. It took me away from the podcast, but we're going to do 2 episodes, I believe, this week. We got a lot of interviews in the can, so excited to dive into it pretty soon.
So what we're going to do in this episode is we're going to do a preview of all of the Calgary-based League One teams. So we were able to track down interviews with all 4 head coaches of the 4 teams. That's Calgary Blizzard, Calgary Foothills, Cavalry U21, and Callies United.
Yeah, I got to give kudos to you, Jason. You did most of the legwork in securing these interviews, as listeners will soon hear. So yeah, great job getting a hold of all those coaches and having quick conversations with them about the upcoming season, which is right around the corner.
For sure, yeah, we're going to see games this week. So before we run these interviews, Scott, is there anything that maybe we should touch on? I know that it's a little hard to handicap the league. You know, we don't know what's going on with the Edmonton teams. We haven't seen the other teams train, but I don't know. I guess maybe are there any players out there on the Calgary-based teams that you're kind of curious to see how things turn out for them this year?
Yeah, definitely. And I agree with what you said. It's hard to gauge the quality of the teams. We haven't seen them train or play yet. All we really have to go on is the players that they have announced. And in that regard, I think you're right. There's definitely some intriguing players who will be playing in League One Alberta this spring and summer. The coaches who we talked to allude to those players. I guess from the Foothills side of things, I would definitely highlight like Gareth Smith Doyle, the striker who played with Cavalry last season, got a lot of playing time, and then at the opposite end of the pitch, Sterling Kerr, the goalkeeper, he was also with the Cavs in 2023. So those are 2 from Foothills that I think there will be a lot expected of them simply due to their resume and their past pro experience.
Yeah, definitely. I think both those players are intriguing, and I think that in the interview that we did, I know that it seems that there's a real goal to work their way back to the pro level. So there's a lot of interesting players on the Foothills side, but those will be 2 that will certainly be catching my attention.
Yeah, and then on the Blizzard side, 2 I'd like to highlight would be, and I think Ramon Mifflin, the head coach, highlighted these 2 as well. Javier Sagaste, previously with Victoria Highlanders, as well as the University of Victoria Vikes. He's with Blizzard this season. And then Moel Gandor, who's a player I've brought up a couple of times since we've started doing this podcast. He'll potentially be a leader on that Blizzard team.
He's going to be a guy that's going to, a lot will be expected of him. You know, this Blizzard side is a new side this year, and he's coming in as captain, and he's still a young guy, but in terms of a lot of the other players on the team, he'll be one of the older players and one of the veterans. So, yeah, I think a lot will be expected of him, and it'll be interesting to see how his season plays out for sure. And yeah, and Javier Sagaste is a player that I didn't really know much about, but we talk about him a fair bit in the interview you're going to hear in a couple minutes.
And then we have Cavalry U21. At the time of my interview with Vikram Virk, their head coach, they hadn't revealed the roster yet, although there is one player that I think Vikram kind of let slip that is going to be playing for them this season, which is Chinan Chanda, who we talked about briefly. He went to Mexico with Cavalry for their preseason trip I guess it was about a month or so ago.
Yeah, he was a player that we knew went on that trip, and I think there were a few players that were sort of vying for the last couple roster spots there. And anyway, he didn't get one of the senior team roster spots, but they've definitely wanted to keep him around, and he's training with the U21s. They obviously think he's got a future with the club, so that's kind of cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, he's still young. I mean, he's only 17, maybe 18. He's a 2006 born. He's been through the Calgary system, the Calgary minor soccer system. He was with Calgary West, and then he went to Calgary Blizzard, So I watched his highlight reel that was on a Northern Tribune article a while back, and yeah, he's a powerful player and loves to dribble at defenders. So he's the only player I know of on that team. I haven't seen the roster yet. I can't really mention anybody else, but yeah, Cavalry U21, kind of a different team than some of the other ones, considering they are like a development first team, but their connection to the Cavalry first team obviously is it means that you might see guys who are with the first team but need to get some minutes playing for the League One side too.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of those U Sports roster players getting some time with this club. For example, last year, Nico Moroniak was on the senior side, but he played a fair bit in those U21 matches. And I think we're going to see it this year, him and Max Pipegrass. And yeah, I think any of the younger players in that category, we're likely to see them get some time because, we're, I think, 4 or 5 games into the season, and none of those players have made the pitch yet. So,
yeah, and the Cavalry coaches will want to keep them sharp in case they are going to be introduced at any point. So, again, haven't seen the Cavs U21 roster yet, but we have an inkling of some of the players that are going to be on that team. But I do think they will be the youngest, won't they?
I think a lot of the other teams are going to be more university-aged players. I think that on the Cavs team, I think that there will be players that age, but I think they'll even skew a bit younger. I think you're going to start to see some of those, players that are still, they could still be like in grade 11 or 12 even, I think.
Yeah, such as Chanda. Yeah, so that leaves Callies United. That's the last remaining Calgary-based team in League One Alberta on the men's side this season.
Yeah, and I think that, we did get a bit of insight about some of the players. They've got some players that have spent some time overseas, but we haven't seen full announcements quite yet. But they're a new team into the league, and it sounds like from our interview with their head coach that they did discover a bunch of players in open tryouts, and it sounds like it's going to be an interesting mix of some European players, some Callies players, some Southwest United youth players that are graduating up to this team, and then some of the players they found in open trials.
Yeah, they're definitely the team with the most unknowns at this point. So I'm very curious to see how Callies United fares against the likes of Cavalry U21, Foothills, and Blizzard, and of course the Edmonton-based teams as well.
We're going to run these interviews consecutively. The first one will be with Ramon Mifflin of Calgary Blizzard. The next one will be with Marc McLaren of Calgary Foothills, and then Vikram Virk, Cavs U21, and the final interview will be with the head coach of Callies United, Pavle Popara. I just want to mention on Pavle's interview, the final interview, audio quality is a little bit in and out, but tried to clean it up best we could. But I think most of it is pretty listenable. So there are a couple places where it drops off. So we really want to thank every coach for taking the time to do the interviews with us. It's appreciated for sure. I'd like to welcome Ramon Mifflin to the podcast. Ramon is the head coach of the Calgary Blizzard entry in League One Alberta this year. Welcome to the podcast, Ramon.
Hi, Jason. Thank you so much for the invite. And super exciting times coming in the next couple of weeks, and just getting ready for our season to begin.
This year with Blizzard, they had a women's team in the league last year, and this is the first season for the men's team. Do you think that having the experience of the women's team in last year provides you with some level of advantage as opposed to having not been there before? So you have a bit of a better understanding of how the league works?
Yeah. It's, for us, it was, we were super proud of what the women accomplished last League One season. And they set the bar high for us, right? They set the standards. We just trying to build a good, strong team where we can compete. I think we're heading in that direction, and now it just work, right? It's a very good league with a lot of very talented teams, and we're just putting the pieces together to be able to face BTB next week in our opener.
Why don't we talk a little bit about some of the players joining the club? There are quite a few familiar names in the Calgary soccer scene. Is there anyone in particular you want to sort of highlight, players that you expect that are going to be leaders on the team this year?
Well, it's as everyone knows, there's no There's nothing hidden here, right? We all know each other well. And part of the MRU, I've been part of the MRU staff for 10 years. So we are a little bit heavy we have 8 players from MRU and a couple of graduates that played at MRU, starting with Mo Algandor, right? He was our leader at MRU for a long time. He's our team captain. He's a very difficult player to deal with on game day, and he's the one guy I would highlight as the second leading scorer in MRU history. He'll be leading the front three, the attack on game day, and he's got good company with them. We've got Josh Flaxman on the other wing, who's also like very good youth sports player. He's been in the league a couple of years now, and he's finally coming into his own. We've got up front also Dawi Dudek and Mowbray that are part of the MRU crew. And then we have Javier Sagaste coming in from Victoria, we're glad he's on our side this League One. He gave us fits in the playoff game last year. Also, Brendan First is in the middle from UBC. He was a Canada Rookie of the Year in all of U Sports. So complement those two in the middle with Miguel De Rocha, JJ Walters. And then our back line also very solid with Abel Nesibu and Ethan Keane on the flanks. We have Nahum Segai from Dinos, who's been a very pleasant surprise with how well he's fitted with our team. And and Will Libby, also a graduate from MRU, will be in the back line. So it's a very good group. It's just putting now kind of getting the chemistry together. I mean, it's a nice thing. I'm not going to lie that a lot of these guys know each other and they operate under kind of like the same philosophy and the same game model that we've had at MRU. But now add those pieces, in those key pieces to the lineup, which are really good players, right? So, and in the back we have Aiden and Sharky, and Aiden was also one of the best goalkeepers in the country. So great leader, great presence. We're just going to put our head down, work hard, and see what happens.
How would you describe the team's playing style and strategy? Like what kind of what should we expect for tactics?
Yeah, we're a team that likes to play. Like we like to build, play out of the back, be technically sound, try to play as much as mistake-free football, especially just simplifying the game out of the back. Can we get the ball into zones 2 and 3? Where we can now feed into our front three, into getting in behind to get goals, crosses. I think we have the technicians the fullbacks who are big presence in the attack, just to play a good brand of football. The one thing I'm very excited about is to add this kid, Javi Sagaste, he's got a lot of flair, a lot of, he's a very good technical player, and he can break players down with just good Latin style of play, right? And me being Peruvian and being kind of from the South American school, it's kind of what we're looking for. And again, just complement him with JJ, who's also part Salvadorian, and Miguel. It's good footballers, and let's see if we can rise to the occasion and make sure we break teams down and get the goals that are needed to win the game.
Actually, I just wanted to get back. You mentioned about Javier Sagaste. Like, what's his Calgary connection? Is he originally from Calgary, or how did he end up joining up with the Blizzard?
Well, we have 5 of our players from MRU played at the Victoria Highlanders last season in League One, and where they made it to the final and lost to the Whitecaps. And he came in with just good reference from the boys that were teammates. And we just reached out to him like, hey, let's see if he can come and join us for this summer. And just playing against us in the semifinals last year of U Sports in Canada West, he was just a great little player that gave us so many problems out there. So we reached out to him, and he liked kind of what he heard, and now he's part of the group.
Heading into this season, what would you say success looks like? What are your overall goals for the season for this team?
I think in a very humble, grounded way, we want to finish top 3. Like, we know it's incredibly difficult. It's a good league, but we think we have the pieces to compete and compete well. We're going to give it a run. We're going to give it a shot. We're preparing ourselves for, to just be ready in the first week of the season and try to, one game at a time, just try to, accumulate points. play a good brand of football that, we can inspire the younger players and especially at Blizzard Soccer Club and the city and inspire the youth scene here, right? Which is it's a great platform for the youth in a pre-World Cup year that will be coming up in 2 years. It's a good time in the city to create this platform, this league, and the talent level is excellent, right? We live in a province that has tremendous history and that not too many people know about. I've been in the city for 15 years now, and it's all kind of, we're finally getting a little bit of at a like Canada level, that there's a lot of good footballers coming out of the province. So we want to make sure that we play a good brand of football, that we can get some results and go from there.
Okay, that sounds great. So thanks again for taking the time to do the interview, and we wish you all the best in this upcoming season.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jason. Really appreciate the time, the interview, and yeah, hopefully we'll see each other out there on the field, and we're hoping that this is going to be a great season for us, for Blizzard Soccer Club.
I'd like to welcome Marc McLaren to the podcast. Marc is the head coach of the men's team for Foothills for League One Alberta, and he's also the boys academy manager. Welcome to the podcast, Marc.
Thank you, Jason. Appreciate you having me on today.
Let's talk about this upcoming League One Alberta season. So last year was a very successful year for the club, winning the championship. So how do you prepare this year going into the second season, coming in as defending champions?
With excitement, I think first of all, I think that we've got a lot of players returning from the same team that played last year, and I was fortunate enough to be a part of that coaching staff led by Jay Wilden, who's of course moved on to Cavalry. But yeah, we're really, really excited. We've managed to recruit, like I say, some players back, some real veterans of the club, boys that have kind of gone through our whole system here at the club, but then also managed to sprinkle some real talent from around the country. Even managed to bring one player from abroad as well. So yeah, it's just about right now, the last few weeks, we've had a few friendlies, and it's just about building that chemistry within the team. This week is actually the first week where finally our whole squad is here, because a lot of the boys are coming from respective universities, from BC and all the way east over in Cape Breton. So our focus over the past few weeks and this week is all about just building that chemistry and getting ready for the season next week.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about some of the players that will be joining the club. Like maybe we could even sort of break it down by position, and just you can let us know who are some of the players that we can be expecting to see on the pitch this season.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, we can start at the back if you want.
Sure.
Want to start there. So we've got 3 goalkeepers on our roster. Starting with Sterling Kerr. Sterling last year was involved with Cavalry, so he's a keeper with a lot of experience, high talent level. He has ambitions of trying to get back to that level. Unfortunately, Sterling suffered a serious hand injury towards the back end of last season, but thankfully he's managed to return, so he'll be on the roster. We have Liam Collins, who was the goalkeeper for the team last year. Like I say, as the starting goalkeeper in a league-winning team. And then we have a third goalkeeper, Liam Hunter, who joins us from Dinos. He's a University of Calgary goalkeeper. Fantastic attitude. And I have to give props to Liam, because he's come in understanding there's big competitions for spots. Obviously, goalkeeper is a position where only one can play at a time. But he's really keen to be involved with the club, improve as a goalkeeper, and be inside our environment, and we see where that takes him.
Move on, I guess, to defenders, and what can we expect to see on the roster there?
Okay, so I'll start with kind of some of our returners. So we have Malik Sylvester, who has just returned to us this week. Malik plays in the United States, plays NCAA. He played a big role last year. If we go back to the team last year, played at centre-back alongside Tom Field, who, of course, is now on side for Cav. So he's a returner for us. We also have Wyatt Davis, who was involved with the team last year as well. A good fullback and powerful player that's going to really offer us a lot this year. We have some new players. So we have Miggy Mendoza, who I was fortunate enough to meet for the first time a few weeks back. Miggy's just returned to Calgary, to Canada. He spent a lot of time over in Asia, actually played for the Philippines in the Asia Cup. So someone we're really, really excited about being involved, going to offer us a lot of power and presence in our back line. We have Noah Herdlicker, who is the current UBC captain. And again, someone who I'm really, really excited to work with. Not only a very good player, but a fantastic leader as well. The first time I saw Noah play, Noah actually flew back in for our friendly against Cavs 3 weeks ago, especially for the game. And the first thing I noticed about him in the training session previous and then in the game was just his ability to talk and organise. And that's going to be huge for us this year. And then the last player probably worth mentioning at this point is Max Bedurtha. Max is a player that was drafted by Halifax in the last draft, comes to us from Ontario. Brilliant player, someone that Jay actually kind of reached out to initially, but then he got drafted by Halifax. Unfortunately, they didn't offer him anything this time round. So he was really keen to come out to Calgary and be a part of this journey with us. And then we've got other players, James Welsh, a Foothills player that's come through our system. We've got Felipe DeBarry, again, another player that's come through our system and worked his way up to League One Men's. And those two players are current players at University of Calgary Dinos. And then we also, another player from Dinos as well is Joey Plenzik, who again, come through our system at Foothills, a very good player and someone that's going to offer us a lot in our back line.
What about in the midfield?
So in midfield's an area that I'm really, really super excited about for us this year. I'll start with our captain. He's named captain for this year, Marco Plenzik. Joey's brother, Marco, again, brings massive leadership to the team. A great guy. Unfortunately, picked up a bit of a hamstring injury, but he's working his way back. Trained with us for the first time in a while this week. So excited for him. He brings leadership, quality in that midfield, an engine, someone who will battle for us, win the ball back, and then also can create for us as well. So really excited about him. And then we also have Rodane Cato, who Rodane comes down to us from Edmonton. Rodane was in with Cavalry for a while. Someone who is well liked in the Cavs program. Unfortunately, didn't get offered anything this time around, but decided he wanted to come down to Foothills. Had a great conversation with him early on, and he really expressed how he likes Foothills. He likes our setup down here, so he's decided to join us. Played for St Albert last year and actually scored a goal against us last year. So I'm really pleased that he's going to be playing for us. He's going to give us a massive engine in that midfield area, but then also give us loads going forwards as well. Then we have Chase Jacquard. Chase is a former pro, was once over here with Cavs just before COVID. Ended up going home, but then, life took a turn and he actually ended up in Calgary and now working full time with us at the club. So Chase works in our foundation and grassroots area of the club. Really, really good player, played professionally back home, also played professionally in Portugal, and someone that's just brings a real stability to our midfield. Very, very good on the ball. He was involved with the team last year, and the role that he played last year was really key. Wasn't necessarily a starter, but someone who could come on at half time or with 30 minutes to go and really see the game out with how calm he is on the ball and the way he can just settle things down for us. So that's our main bit of our midfield. Then we also have Sky Rogers. Sky is another, I want to say, veteran of the club, and I'm using the word veteran for these young guys, these 21-year-old guys, but Sky's been at the club from a very, very young age, played a massive role for the club last year in that run to the title. He's an MIU student, so he played a big role for them as well. But Sky brings quality to us and also brings massive levels of leadership. He's our vice captain, so he'll be the captain anytime Marco's not around, not in the team. So Sky's again going to play a huge role. And then another player that's going to be huge for us, going to play in our midfield is Owen Antonuit. A lot of people will know Owen around the city. Owen's got professional playing backgrounds, played for Athletic Ottawa, played for Whitecaps too. He's now back in Calgary, enrolled as a student at the University of Calgary. And Owen's got massive, massive quality and a player that I'm really, really excited to continue to work with over the season. Someone who's going to bring lots to the team. Is going to be a real danger in front of the opposition goal.
Let's finish up by talking about what's happening up front with the forwards and the attackers.
Yeah, so up front, when I talk about up front, it's not just our centre forward. We've also got kind of our wide players in there as well. So I'll start with a returning player from last season. A really important player for us is Charles Nana. Charles joins us again, flying back in from BC, where he's studying at Trinity. But a Calgary lad, a lad that again has come through the club, adds massive quality, speed, finishing ability. So someone that's going to be really, really important for us, and he can play either out wide or through the middle. We've managed to recruit a lad called Jamie Nicholson. Jamie's from actually where I'm from England, but he's currently studying over at Cape Breton, and we have a good relationship with the coach over there. So, we had a conversation, and he comes over, actually plays with Max Pipegrass over there. And obviously we know Max is playing for Cavs this year and signed a pro contract. But yeah, Jamie comes highly recommended. He's made a really good start with us over the last couple of weeks since he's been in the city, and adds massive speed. We've got Aidan Azadi. Aidan, again, University of Calgary student, one that kind of reached out to me, wanted to be involved. So I put him on a trial basis. He came in, showed an unbelievable attitude to playing, to learning, to wanting to be in Calgary. He's actually from BC initially. So he did have some offers back there to go back, but he told me from the jump, he said, I want to be in Calgary. I want to stay in Calgary, and I want to be involved with Foothills this season. And yeah, he did enough for me to be like, yeah, you know what? I want you to stay around. I want you to be involved, and will add massive quality for us as well. We've got Kurt Heimanick, a young player, an 05 who's just finished his first year over at UBC. And again, a player that is going to add qualities. He's one of the younger players in the side right now. So definitely we want one player we want to look after, and going to be one for the future. But for right now, we'll get lots of experience being involved in League One. He's a winger, exciting player, can make things happen, can be creative. So someone I'm excited to work with. And then with our centre forwards, we have Eman Dan Adokian. Eman was our number 9 last year. Scored some really important goals for the club. Unfortunately, got injured right towards the end of the season, so wasn't able to play in the final. And he's had a bit of trouble with injuries, but he's just coming back now, and hopefully he'll be ready in a couple of weeks to get going. So won't be with us at the very beginning, but he's back in the gym, he's back doing physio, and hopefully he'll be ready. And then the big one for us, and the big return to the group, and I've saved him till last, is Gareth Smith Doyle. Obviously, we know Gareth with Cavs last year, was a part of that league winning team. Last year with Cavs, got a lot of under 21 minutes for them. Unfortunately, didn't get anything for this season we're in. We weren't really sure what Gaz's plans were, but Gaz reached out and said he wanted to return to playing, which was great news for us. So yeah, we feel that we've got real quality up front now with him, and he's going to bring a lot of goals and a lot of experience to the team.
You alluded to this earlier about, Jay was the head coach of the team last year and you were involved. Can we expect any real differences regarding how the team, like the style of play or tactics or anything like that, now that you're in the head role? Or are we going to expect kind of more similar to what we've seen?
I think the best way to answer that is probably there's going to be similarities, but there's also going to be differences. And I don't mean for that to sound kind of a bit wishy-washy. I mean, in terms of standards, in terms of style of play, Jay wanted the team to attack. Jay wanted the team to be on the ball and dominate possession. And I'm no different to that. Tactically, we might look a little bit different, but I'm the type of coach that likes to have a couple of things in my back pocket. I don't think it's kind of wise to only have one way of playing. So if we have to play a little bit longer at times, we'll do that. If we can dominate possession and play through the thirds of the field, then we'll do that. We'll get our midfielders involved. We'll get our wide players involved, and we'll try and create as much as we can for our centre forwards to score goals. So, my plan, and I said this from the jump with all the boys when I spoke to them on the phone and kind of start to build these relationships, was in terms of standards of behaviour and expectations from coaching staff to players, nothing changes. Jay kind of set that, and that's a Foothills way that runs throughout our whole club. So there's nothing different just because it's kind of the first team. We run each team exactly the same in terms of those standards of behaviour. But yeah, the style of play might be, in terms of a tactical approach, might be slightly different. But what we want to achieve is exactly the same.
Is there anything else you want to add in? You want to mention?
No, I think hopefully a lot of people will listen to this. I hope a lot of people come out to watch the games. Our first game is a difficult one just because it falls on the same night as Cavalry playing the Whitecaps. So I understand people will maybe want to go and watch that game. It's not often that a MLS team comes into Calgary, but I think, we're going to have a lot of games this year. It's a 12-game season, hopefully 13 if we make the final. And I hope people come out and watch and support, especially kind of our Foothills alumni and our Foothills family, to come out and support, and come and give the team some root for the team and try and push us on to kind of retaining the title and meeting our goals. Really, that's our goal. We want to go and compete, and we want to be top of the table come the end of the season.
And we wish you all the best in this upcoming season and beyond.
Thank you, Jason. Really appreciate it, mate. Thank you.
I'd like to welcome Vikram Virk back to our podcast. Listeners may recall Vikram was on a few episodes back. He had recently been appointed the University of Lethbridge Pronghorns men's team's head coach. So we talked to him about that, but he's also head coach of Cavalry U21s this summer in the League One Alberta season. Vikram, welcome back. And how does it feel to be involved with Cavalry U21s heading into this League One season?
Thanks for having me again here. It's a super cool moment for me to be able to come back home and, of course, work with professional club in my own hometown. So, it is with the 21. It's still something super special for me. Something I'm very proud of.
So what does the U21 team look like this year? I know you told me before we started recording that you're announcing the roster officially on Friday. But what about in terms of the makeup of the team? Is it a pretty young group? Is it a mostly local side? Can you kind of reveal any details about that?
Yeah. I think we'll definitely be one of the younger sides in the league. It's a good mix, I would say, where we have players who have been in the environment before, and we also have new ones coming into the environment. And from a mix, I think you'll see a huge Calgary core and Alberta core that we have in our team. So a lot of young players from local scene who have excelled, but we do have some out of province players joining us to fill out the squad.
How does the connection with Cavalry work? I mean, is it almost like a youth team for Cavalry or a reserve squad? Is there movement between the two potentially?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a pretty direct link between both teams. And we'll have some players coming down and playing with us if they need minutes. Also, vice versa. We have a couple of examples of players who've gone already and tasted that environment. For example, and I don't want to give any spoilers, the players who've been in our environment before, like Alexander, who actually was able to go to preseason, for example, with the group in Mexico. So, players do well and excel. It's a good pathway for them to try.
I was reviewing last year's inaugural exhibition League One Alberta season. I saw that Cavs U21 finished with a 2-4-2 record to finish fourth. So I'm curious, like you mentioned, it is a young group. It is it's considered like a development focused team for identifying talent for Cavalry's first team. What does success look like in your view for Cavalry U21?
For us, success is on two fronts. One is the developmental aspect. So are we improving our players? Are we pushing them towards the level of the CPL? Are we pushing them towards our own first team? And I think that's the first measure that we look at. But the other is that we want results and we want to try and at the higher end of the league. That's no doubt. We have our internal target. I think winning is development as well. So we find a balance more measured on two fronts. And one on the developmental side, and obviously looking to league.
Or what do you see the importance of League One Alberta being for these players on Cavs U21? It's obviously new to our province. These players, I would assume, they've been playing at a high level for quite a while throughout their adolescence into adulthood. But what does the arrival of League One mean for them in their development?
I think it's massive, honestly, for the province. You've seen other provinces started with League One BC. You've seen League One Ontario for many years. It gives them that next step and that step before maybe entering a professional level, which growing up, I know we never had. Again, when we were younger, it was the MLS clubs were around, but there were even past that, maybe you go to the USL2 for the summer, but we never had this as a local as a local champ, you always have to travel or you have to go away. So there's so many more opportunities now for players to develop, showcase themselves at a league and a level with good standards, good support behind it. You're going to get crowds out playing in front of fans. Obviously, it gives them that next step. And also us as coaches, it gives us a chance to showcase ourselves as well and continue to develop and grow at that level as well.
Right on. Last thing I'll ask you, Vikram, is about the first game coming up. It's supposed to be May 7th, but you mentioned to me that it's actually going to be May 10th now. I think I know why. Can you speak about your upcoming first game of the season, who it's going to be against, and where it will be?
We scheduled that May 7th game just because the game with the first team in the Whitecaps in the Cup. So we think it's important. Obviously, everyone's coming out and supporting our first team, and then also for the boys to see that. But our first game will now be on May 10th against Edmonton Scottish at home again at the Calgary West Soccer Centre, 5 p.m.
5 p.m. Calgary West Soccer Centre. Will most of your home games be at that venue this summer?
We'll alternate. We have a couple there, and then also at the Performance Center. So I think between the two most.
Sounds good. And I believe, are most of the games Tuesday and Friday this season?
Yeah. So Tuesday, Friday, some weeks you get playing on both days, some weeks one, but all Tuesday and Friday game days.
Good luck with the upcoming preparations. I know the season is right around the corner, but is there anything else about League One Alberta or Cavs U21 that you'd like to mention before we end the interview, Vic?
Having me on again, and we're looking forward to the league, and obviously being a part of the inaugural season, I think it's something super special. So can't wait to get started.
Awesome. Well, we'll keep an eye out for that roster reveal on Friday. It may come out after this airs or before. I'm not too sure, but best of luck with the last few training sessions for your group.
Appreciate it, Scotty.
All right.
I'd like to welcome Pavle Popara to the podcast. Pavle is the head coach of the Callies United League One Alberta men's team, and he is also the director for the U14 to U17 boys group at Southwest United. Welcome to the podcast, Pavle.
Thank you for having me.
Let's talk a little bit about the upcoming season. So Southwest United and Callies joining up. This is the first year that they've been in League One Alberta. Can you talk a little bit to us about the roster of players and who we can expect to be seeing on the pitch this year? Maybe we could even go through it, maybe in position by position if you want.
Yeah, the first season of the League One, we met with Callies. So it's a great opportunity for our club. And now with the Callies together, I think it's a great opportunity for the players that are on the break with their universities, but also for the youth players coming up from our youth program. Yeah, I had a lot of job to make a team because I had more than 90 players showing up for a tryout through the season. And I will be honest with you, it's a very good quality of the players, which I was very surprised positively. So it was not easy job for me to make a team. But at the end, we have a solid group of the players for League One. We also have a major team, premier team, major college.
At the open tryouts, did you find some players that you weren't aware of previously that you've been able to bring along into the team? Or
so yeah, I'll be honest with you, I was not aware of many of the older players that out from Southwest United. So because I was working with youth program. Yeah, then I got informed from college coach, it ended with long zooming. He was taking me for some of the players, but yes, there were some unexpected players coming up, which was great to see, and some of them are in the team right now. We have some players that were playing outside of Canada, that will be also good quality team. Santiago, who is a Colombian international player, he just moved here to Calgary, and he was playing actually a new level in Europe. He was playing, even a few years ago, he was playing in Portugal for Benfica, one of the better clubs in Europe, in Portugal for sure. He was playing for the B team, which is also very high. The big team is playing in second division of Portugal. We have a player, Daniel Taru, who was playing in Italy, fourth division, here to Calgary. And then we have some players from universities over here, such as Dinos, University of Calgary, Soliman, James, and Nick were all from the University of Calgary.
I'm guessing that you also have some of the players that have worked their way through the Southwest United system that are going to be joining the club. Are there some players that fall into that category that you want to mention?
We have some players coming up from Southwest United. And the rather now is like 2006 born players who already played for our major team. Some of them are definitely Ethan Lopez and Diaz. Then we have Yuna, we have DJ. So some of them will definitely get represented for League One. You will have 2007 players have kids down in France last year, mobility family over here. So Martin is really potential player. So he was playing at the highest level in town. Now he moved here, so he's still playing with our U17 team, but only he will move to our major League One team to get the opportunity with Samuel Hellman with 2007 per player. We have a lot of 2007 and then 2008 in future. That will be great opportunity for them to get a chance, right? It is chance and through this League One, which is great.
What kind of tactics and styles should we expect to see Callies United men on the pitch this year?
So to rank it in Callies, based on the players we have and based on my belief as the coach, we will do everything to play possession style of soccer. So our team will hopefully be not confident without the ball. So we'd like to have the ball in our possession, of course, with the purpose to attack, to go forward. We would like to have possession style of play, so to dominate the game through possession.
When the season is all over at the end of July, what would you consider a successful first season for Callies United? What are your goals for this year?
I will be honest with you. I'm not aware that much of the quality from the other team, but I know what I have based on quality of players. I have in my team, they've been that, and they've been Southwest United and Callies as a historical club where our goal is to meet that final at the end of July. So the goal will be one of the first to go into the league.
All right. I think pretty much ready to wrap it up. Is there anything else that you wanted to mention or add in before we finish up here today?
No, really. I think we said everything. This is a great opportunity for Alberta, the province, for the whole system here, and for youth players. They can see the chance of this League One and potentially an Canadian Premier League. So some positive times for the sport and soccer here in Calgary.
Thank you for taking the time to do the interview, and we wish you all the best in this upcoming season, and we'll be following along throughout the season. So all the best.
Thank you so much for reaching out to me. And
thanks for listening to the YYC Soccer Podcast. If you enjoyed this League One Alberta preview, make sure to subscribe to our podcast using all the usual podcasting platforms, such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. Every week, we talk about the Calgary soccer scene, and we will be covering League One Alberta on a regular basis over the summer. You can go to our website at yycsoccer.com for more information about us and to see more information about how to subscribe, leave a question or comment. You can also follow us on social media at yycsoccer403. That works on Twitter, that works on Instagram. Thanks for listening.